How many of you have actually read the fine print in anything? Not too many, including me. And I chose the quote, "Nothing in fine print is ever good news." And I pretty much was just thinking, what am I going to do with this? And it became pretty obvious. My life has been pretty much defined by the fine print. In my early life, I had an injury where I was bit by a dog, and I remember even at 5 years old I had to signing papers that had fine print. And then during the middle of my life, a family member went through some stuff and we had to put them in certain kind of cares, and again there was fine print. And then recently I've been stricken with some illnesses and given medications, and there again was fine print. So my first experience with fine print was when I was 5 years old and I was bitten in the face by a dog. It pretty much almost tore this side of my face off. And the doctors all did the best they could do, but they all said to my parents, he might not see out of his right eye again. This might happen, that might happen, he might get an infection, he might die. And then, so this kind of was fine print that I wasn't aware of at the time, but eventually it actually made me somewhat dyslexic. Words started getting flipped around. I don't know why, but it was just because that right eye kind of mixed it up, and I had a lot of trouble reading, and that was something I had to overcome, and it kind of defined my life for the early part of my life. The second thing is my mom. She has a really big problem with alcoholism, and she's been in and out of detox and clinics for the last 4 or 5 years. And I just noticed every time we're signing the paper to release them to her, it says in the fine print, "We're not responsible if this doesn't work out." And it's just kind of funny because you could do the best you can for somebody, but again, it's up to them to make the decision of what they want to do in their life. And my third thing is I have severe and chronic migraines. And actually that's the reason why I haven't been in class for like the last 3 weeks. And part of it is because I take about 6-7 different type of medications, from pain to prevention. And I didn't notice that until I started looking at them, because I was getting sick, that some of them I can't take with other ones, which my doctor failed to inform me of. That led me to get deathly ill. I've been in and out of the hospital for the last 3 weeks. And it actually, speaking of glasses, I used to have 20/15 vision. Now it's kind of blurry from me to Richard right now. And that's just something that I didn't know. Fine print, once again, never really good news. And right now it's a new struggle for me to have to overcome. And so basically, nothing in the fine print is ever good news. And I believe that's true, and it's almost like things in fine print are the obstacles in your life, and that's just the things that you need to overcome.
All right, well, I think that you had a really good rhetorical question at the beginning. It sets up the thesis clearly. You've got a very nice interpretation of what it is you're talking about. It's literal, but it turns out that you've got some good examples so that you're not going to be as limited as I thought you might be by taking it as literally as you did. There's an excellent preview of what the structure is going to be, so I know where you're headed at all times. And I thought that you had good illustrations on each of those points that tied into the idea that you were talking about. It developed pretty well. Usually you provide us with just enough detail to make it interesting, and then you move on at the right point. So I thought that the content developed very effectively. On presentation issues, I think your voice projects reasonably well, but it's all low key. There's a little bit of variety in your voice, but I think you've kind of got a narrow range, and I think you could use that a little bit more effectively. Nothing was problematic, but just talk about things that could be better in this particular case. Same thing with the gestures. I think at the beginning you were a little bit limited because you had the piece of paper in your two hands, and sometimes you went back to grasping the paper with both hands. That would be the only thing that I thought was maybe an indicator of any anxiety issues, but otherwise it seemed pretty well controlled. Your facial expressions could be a little bit more elaborate and animated, but you have solid eye contact with the audience. You do stand in the one spot the whole time, and again, I think there maybe a little bit more animation might be appropriate, although you don't want to get happy feet. I think that you did a nice job, generally focusing on the audience and trying to relate to us with the subject that you had, and you developed it pretty effectively. I thought you found a nice, effective exit at the end of the speech as well. Thank you.